We're getting all set for the start of the Transatlantic Trophy for pre-66 touring cars. We've got two Mustangs up front. Dave Coyne and Craig Davis are the two up front. Nigel Greensall is the third, the blue Mustang, and then Richard Dutton in the first of the Lotus Cortinas. That's our top four, with a Mini tucked in behind us. Endaf Owens, who we've seen is highly entertaining to watch. They set around coming towards the start line, and the pre-66 touring cars are up and running with a good start from Dave Coyne from pole position, but he will be under attack from Craig Davis up towards the first corner at Abbey, and Nigel Greensall just slipping up the inside. No, it didn't work for him. He's actually dropped a place to Richard Dutton. Dutton's gone up into third place. Nigel Greensall has dropped to fifth, in fact. I think he's almost behind the Mini of Owens as well, so it didn't quite work out for him, but it was a good start for the poleman, Dave Coyne. Oh, Dutton's run wide in the Lotus Cortina, but he gets it back on again, and still then he's actually fought his way back into second. So, oh no, spin. That's Greensall. Oh, Nigel. I think he's ended up half spun. He might get going again. Did he get hit? I'm not sure. And that's a great shame, because we were expecting him to be right up there with the front runners in the background. Oh, there it is. Oh no, look, damage to the left front. So sad to see.
Oh, that's a shame. Just caught him out on the left-handed loop corner, but the leaders are down into Brooklands now, and it looks as though it is still Dave Coyne leading as we see the rest of the cars streaming through, and still they come down the Wellington Straight. There we're back with the leaders again, and indeed it's Richard Dutton who's chasing the leader. In fact, Richard Dutton's got the lead from Dave Coyne. Third place is Craig Davis. Fourth looks to be the pink car of Endaf Owens. Then it's the Andrew Banks actually started the Banks family Alfa Romeo, and then behind them is the next Mini, which is Aaron Smith, as they come into Copse Corner. The power of the Mustang takes him back into the lead. Dave Coyne goes through on the inside of Richard Dutton, but don't count Richard Dutton out, because he'll be snapping at the heels of the Mustang as Craig Davis comes charging up behind as well.
Wonderful to see this, isn't it? And you know, there is the Mustang, yes, of Davis getting past. So the Mustangs have that straight line performance over the Lotus Cortina, but the Lotus Cortina dances through the twisty sections, and Richard drives it absolutely superbly. He is a team boss. He's run many cars over the years, and Dave Coyne is now his rival once again as they come out of Beckett's. Look, he's managed to get right alongside, not quite. Coyne now gets on the power with the big V8 engine, and he's able to accelerate away, and that's where the Lotus Cortina begins to lose out. And Richard Dutton now coming under a bit of pressure from behind, but we've got a battle for the lead between the two Mustangs as Davis goes up the inside into Stowe Corner. Coyne takes the big wide line around the outside and just about holds on.
He does, yes, as Craig Davis drops in behind. Richard Dutton's caught them up again because they're coming into the tighter section. But look at Julian Thomas coming through in the big Falcon. Comes through on the inside. Not a great qualifying session for them. Just about 3 or 4 rows behind, but he's already made his way up, and Dutton behind now in fourth place. Then we've got the Banks Alpha, and don't count that Alpha out, because Max Banks, who will take that over from his brother Andrew, very quick indeed.
Yeah, look at Julian Thomas in third place at the moment, doing an absolutely stunning job of trying to come through in the massive Ford Falcon. It's a car that he'll be sharing with Callum Lockie. We've seen Callum delivering some great performances already today. Dave Coyne's just opened up a little again. No, there is Julian Thomas into second now in the Falcon. If he can hold on, he's gone deep into the corner, but I think he's just about got the line right. Yeah, nicely done, gets ahead of Davis. And into second place. The back end of that car sort of swings around, but it's a long wheelbase car, and you can sort of let it swing around. There's plenty of time to control it. Davis getting a bit more twitchy with the Mustang, but Dave Coyne taking full advantage of this with the blue, white and red stripes on his Mustang, heading down towards Brooklands. This is working well, but he's going to come under threat from Julian Thomas. So it's the American cars that are dominating the scene at the moment. The Lotus Cortina next up with Richard Dutton in fourth, and Ian Curley's moved up well in his Mini now. It was at a disappointing time. He went out early in the Classic Mini race earlier, so he'll be wanting to make up for that. He is very much a front runner in a Mini, and he's part of the group that are chasing down Richard Dutton right now.
And it's a great leveler, isn't it? The slippy conditions that we've got, the sort of half wet, half dry. The Minis are still in there in the mix, and also the Cortina of Richard Dutton. But it's the big V8 American cars that are up front at the moment, with the Mustang of Dave Coyne, an absolutely expert driver over many years in Formula Ford. But I think the lead is about to change, or will Dave Coyne? No, Dave Coyne's got too much experience to let Julian Thomas slide through there. maggots into Beckett. So Coyne still leads, multiple Formula Ford champion in the 80s, and comes through the right-hander, goes a little bit wide. Julian Thomas goes for the tighter line, as does Craig Davis as they come out through Chapel Curve onto the hanger straight once again. Now Thomas is sliding that car through Chapel onto the hanger straight. Looks like he might be ahead. And Craig Davis coming on the outside. It's almost 3 abreast as they come down into Stowe Corner.
This is wonderful racing, isn't it, between all 3 of these American supercars, if you like. And Sam Tordoff is also moving up in car number 600, just behind the Ford Falcon Sprint. All the top 3 managed to slide their way through Stowe Corner. So Sam's come up to 4th ahead of Richard Dutton now, and then we've got that Alfa Romeo, the Alfa Julia Sprint of Andrew Banks is still in the mix, which is nice to see. But look how close Julian Thomas is to the back of Dave Coyne, barely a hair's breadth between them, and well, we shall see as they come across the line. The gap recorded at 0.152 of a second on the attack, but not into Abbey Corner. Dave Coyne takes the line. Fastest lap does go to Sam Tordoff in that Ford Falcon. He's moved up to 4th. And he's another top driver, of course, who can deliver in tricky conditions like this. He's pulled away a bit from Andrew Banks, but it's the battle between the top 2. Dave Coyne versus Julian Thomas, who will be handing over to Callum Lockie later on in this race. Dave is doing it all his own. He will have to make a pit stop and a pause, but he is driving the second stint as well. And the top 3 still holding on together, with Sam Tordoff trying to close that gap up just a little bit more. Richard Dutton in the Lotus Cortina in 6th. Endorf Owens in the Mini, still running well in 7th position. And then we've got another very interesting car not far behind, the Studebaker Lark Daytona of Adrian Wilmot, right in the background. You can't quite see it in the shot yet, but he's running in 8th position. You can see it actually on the outside coming down towards Brooklands with a Mini next to it. Funny beast it is. And there is the competition that's going on with Endorf Owens. So you've got the little Mini, but then you've got the big Studebaker. There it is. Interesting machine following in behind. 4.3 litre engine and battling with a little Mini. The Mini has an advantage through the tighter corners. You can see the back end of that Studebaker really is pretty unstable. But Endorf Owens, who was so dramatic earlier on in the classic Mini race, ended up finishing in 4th place. He's coming under a bit of threat. Yeah, straight line speed, and the Studebaker's through.
And that Studebaker is going to be handed over to former British GT driver Lee Mole, who owns the car. But Endorf Owens is giving it a good run for its money. It's going to lose out on the run up to Beckett, but I think once they get into the sweepers at Beckett's, the Mini might close up again, as there's a Cortina in there as well behind, and that is, I think that might be Peter Smith, is it? Number 8, no, Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith is in behind there as well in the Mini.
Yeah, he had a good performance earlier on today, didn't he? So
and the Minis are sticking with the bigger cars, aren't they? It's amazing. There's 3 of them actually up there, aren't there? 3 in the shot now.
Always wonderful to see, as they have that little bit of edge through the corners. But once you're in a straight line, look, a Lotus Cortina has the performance and drives through. But then the Mini comes back into the next corner, and that's what we always love to see. Back to the battle between the race leaders, and Dave Coyne hanging on in there for the moment. He's certainly been a Ford man for so many years, but a Formula Ford is a very different machine to drive to the Mustang. But his car control and his skills are the same, whatever you put him into. Lovely to see Dave with a lead of just 0.3 of a second over Julian Thomas. Craig Davis still there within a second. And then Sam Tordoff, who has closed up again. He's got fastest laps. So Sam is putting in some very impressive laps. Richard Dutton just hanging on in 5th place in the Lotus Cortina. The Alfa of Andrew Banks is not far behind him, but they are in a separate little group, effectively. Andy Prio, by the way, is running in 16th place at the moment. I think they may have just made up a little bit of lost ground. They're in another Ford Mustang. Ooh, another slide from Davis, but I think he held it. Yep, still in 3rd.
Craig Davis loves sliding his cars, whatever he's driving. He's got all sorts of powerful cars that he races, and very often he's the most sideways of the group. And they're coming down the Wellington Straight now, and just a little bit of a gap now for Dave Coyne over Julian Thomas in the Falcon as they turn into the left-hander at Brooklands. And then behind Thomas is Davis. Behind Davis is Sam Tordoff. Sam Tordoff has come all the way up from mid-grid, so he's done had a really good start to the race in the big Falcon as they go through Luffield, and then it'll be the fast right at Woodcote that leads on to the old pit straight. There is Sam Tordoff, number 600, as he goes down the pit straight, chasing after. That's a very, very wide line from Sam, as he's chasing after Craig Davis in the red and gold Mustang in the colours of Alan Mann Racing, as they go through Copse Corner up towards Maggots once again. The big V8s still ruling the roost.
Yeah, well, it's great fun to watch, isn't it? But we know that some of the lesser powered cars are also having their own intricate battles. Little flame coming out of the exhaust of the Davis Mustang there, or as he came off the power, which is also fun to see. And they sound wonderful, these machines. And if you're standing alongside the track or watching from some of the grandstands, you'll be picking up that wonderful noise. Big slide from Julian Thomas then, but he gathered it together beautifully well. Plenty of time to go, 35 minutes still to go in this classic race, and Tordoff beginning to attack a little bit more. Having a look down the inside into Stowe, I expect Craig will be happy to go around the outside, because there's still plenty of grip on the outside there. You can see it's slippery on that inside line. Normal dry line, of course, but you get the rubber laid down there, and when you've got this dampness, it makes it far more slippery, and you could really get an example. But lovely car control. In the background, Richard Dutton's coming under pressure again from the Alpha of Andrew Banks. So the white Lotus Cortina definitely not comfortably in 5th place. It's a tiny gap to Banks, and then Wilmot as well, and behind them we've got Mark Jewell, who's also doing a good job in the number 170 car. Marcus Jewell it is, in another of the Lotus Cortinas that he'll be handing over to Ben Klukas, who's very rapid later in the race.
And another fastest lap for Sam Tordoff at the back of this group, but can't find a way past Craig Davis at the moment. Goes wide into Village. Now he'll cut back and try and get a wide line into the loop. Meantime, Julian Thomas is having another go at the leader as they come into the loop. And now you can see Sam Tordoff in the back of the picture there, and he'll come back into shot. He's got the inside line for Aintree. A lovely move there. That started at Village, and he gradually made his way up alongside Craig Davis and got through. But Davis is coming back at him on the straight, but the Falcon's got similar power, so they're coming down into Brooklands. Davis is going to have another go on the brakes. No room there. Big cars these, and through goes Sam Tordoff. You see him working away at the big steering wheel there, and into Luffield they come. So the order now is leading is Dave Coyne, then it's Julian Thomas, but now it's Sam Tordoff in 3rd and Craig Davis in 4th.
Yeah, this is highly entertaining. Don't forget, we are going to see Callum Lockie take over from Julian Thomas later on in this race. But Julian is very rapid himself, so we'll see how it all goes. Beginning to lap some of the other cars now. There's a Lotus Cortina that they're coming up behind, I believe. And we're going to keep an eye on those battles. Andy Prio down in 13th place. The car that Steve Soper will be driving later on is currently in 16th place. He'll be taking over after the pit stop. So there may still be a chance for that to move up the order somewhat. It's still very close. 3rd place at the moment between Sam Tordoff in that massive number 600 machine, but it's also close at the top 2 as well. Julian Thomas in the number 192, chasing down Dave Coyne, who so far has just about maintained control of this race. A brief moment he lost the lead, but put it straight back again, and Julian moving one way and then the other. But look at the way the car moves around. Even a straight line it seems to be sliding around, doesn't it? Incredible.
Never going in a straight line, always some steering input as they come through, and Dave Coyne goes for that wide line, such as we saw in the Pre-66 Grand Prix race earlier on. So good for Will Nuttall, but Dave Coyne's so experienced, and he won't be rattled by Julian Thomas moving his car around with headlights on. And look at Sam Tordoff just drifting through, and Craig Davis just got a little bit wide there, a little bit out of shape, but that'll have lost him some time. But Sam Tordoff just drifting the car through. So it's Mustang, Falcon, Mustang, and then in the background we've got the Lotus Cortina of Richard Dutton.
He had a great slide out of class.
Always sideways, Richard. And then the Studebaker Lark Daytona, which is coming through, of Adrian Wilmot.
I can just imagine Richard, you know, when he runs a race team for so many years for young drivers trying to become professionals. Oh, and there's a change. It's 2nd place. There goes Tordoff. He's managed to get past Julian Thomas. So he really is on the hunt to take over the lead of this race. He's doing well, Sam Tordoff, setting the outright pace. He's moved into 2nd place. Thomas back down into third position, but yeah, Richard Dutton, I can imagine him telling all his drivers, don't go sideways, it's much quicker to just go forwards, and yet he is Mr. Sideways himself.
Absolutely, yes, really enjoys his racing, and down into Brooklands they come, and now Julian Thomas trying to have a go back at Sam Tordoff, who managed to get by up at Village and the Loop, and in they come to Luffield now, but it's Tordoff that's putting the pressure on the leader, Dave Coyne. And Tordoff goes tight, Dave Coyne goes slightly wide, out and through Woodcote Corner, side by side through Woodcote, but Dave Coyne's got the advantage at the moment, but can Sam Tordoff stay alongside as they go into Copse Corner, and then he'll have the advantage as they go into the right-hander, but I think Dave Coyne's far enough ahead, just...
It's a bit like watching Hamilton and Verstappen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going into Copse Corner. Thankfully, these two did not make contact, but it was all pretty tight.
It was very tight indeed, and great awareness, but now Tordoff's trying to go for the inside into the first element of Beckett's, but that's not really an overtaking place. Now he's going alongside as they go through the middle element of Beckett's, trying to get the inside for the last element, and the whole lot are closing up as they pass a slower car, and out of Beckett's they go. And how can you get so many of these big American cars side by side through Beckett's?
Amazing how they've all managed to get together like that, and it is absolutely tight between the top four now. It has brought them all even closer together. Dave Coyne is still just about in control in the Mustang, trying to see where there's a little bit more grip, a bit more traction that he can find on different areas. Oh, he's gone very, very wide. That's too wide, Dave. Oh, he's lost the lead, and he might lose more than first place. No, he's popped back into second, but the lead has now gone to Sam Tordoff. Well done to Sam. Dave just braked a little bit too late, and Sam Tordoff has now taken the lead of this race. He's been battling his way forwards for lap after lap. He started in 13th position on the grid, but he now leads, and it's a good effort that, with under half an hour to go. A pit stop due to be made fairly soon, chased by Coyne, Julian Thomas in third place, Craig Davis in fourth, and all four of these cars could end up winning this race, I'm absolutely sure. I think Sam's got a little bit of a pace advantage, but it's not huge. It is just a small amount that he can try and get ahead, and now Julian Thomas is trying to take second. I think he's through.
Yes, he braked very late into Village there. Yep, we've got the shot now where we've got Julian Thomas in second place, so Dave Coyne dropped down to third, Craig Davis in fourth, and my question now is Dave Coyne having brake problems? These big heavy cars, they do suffer with the brakes overheating, and I wonder whether Dave's brakes are just saying, give me a bit of time to cool off, and he's, because twice now he's effectively gone too deep into the corners. He's looking for a way through on the inside.
Contact between Coyne and Thomas. Thomas whirs round. Oh, Craig Davis only just misses him. What a shame. It all been so clean up to that point, but it just got a bit tight on the entry into Brooklands Corner, and unfortunately round goes Julian Thomas. So that's the car he's sharing with Callum Lockie. We were looking forward to the changeover. Let's hope he can get going again, but he will have lost some he is going, but he's obviously lost some crucial time there. Let's have another look, Alison.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. Dave Coyne, I think, just missed his braking point and had nowhere to go. He just slithered into the side of Julian Thomas, who was turning into the corner. Quite rightly, it was his corner, but just one of those unfortunate incidents which can occur when the track is so slippery. And there we can see now, we held the shot for a bit longer. We could see that Julian Thomas really only waited for the traffic to come through, so he kept the engine running, did lose a bit of time, and that's very unfortunate. But we've seen earlier on some big gaps being closed up after the pit stops.
We have indeed, so let's wait and see. But I think Sam Tordoff's in a good position here out in front, and that battle that went slightly wrong has certainly opened up the gap. There is a bit of damage to the right front, the bumper of Dave Coyne's car. Hopefully it's not going to rub onto the right front tyre. There's certainly no evidence of that I can see. Craig Davis in third, so now up into fourth place has come the Wilmot car, so that's gone well. It's gained some positions as a result of all that. The Studebaker Lark Daytona. We've got some minis still battling their way further down the order. Aaron Smith, Enduff Owens has dropped back a little bit, that's a shame. He's now down into 12th position. Neil Brown, the famous engine builder in motor racing, he's running in 13th place as we see a few changes going on. Yeah, we've got beginning to see some pit stops now, aren't we?
And I saw the yellow Mustang coming through shot there. It's Andy Prio. He's up to 10th, and
right.
he's in amongst the minis now.
Okay, so that's good to see Andy Prio up into 10th position. We'll keep an eye out for him. There in the background, that is Andy in the yellow Mustang coming up on the Mini, as you say. Could be gaining another position fairly soon. He's chasing after Aaron Smith, number 18 car. There is Andy Prio, multiple touring car champion, a brilliant driver. Started his career in hill climbs and sprints and then developed it into circuit racing. Very, very successful. A real thinker, a real focused, concentrated man. Oh, we got damaged, so sad, on the number 46 Mini of Ian Curley. Oh, he's having a bad day, isn't he, Ian? Because he suffered. He got there was an incident in the classic Mini race earlier on, and now a rather sad looking Mini with its eye popped out on the right hand side.
And we think Craig Davis has come into the pit lane, and that'll be to hand over to Steve Soper.
There are quite a few in the pits now, yeah. As you say. So it's all going to get quite interesting with the pit stops being made.
From this distance, difficult to tell the difference between the Soper car and the Craig Davis car. Sorry, Craig Davis not handing over to Steve Soper, he's driving solo. Steve Soper taking over from Henry Mann, and that's the one that's in the pits. Henry Mann has come in quite early, as he could, to hand over to the brilliant Steve Soper.
Chris Baton in the number 81 Ford Mustang. Interestingly, Nigel Greensall's due to be driving that. Here we are, we've got the battle between Craig Davis and Dave Coyne in the two Mustangs. Davis is trying to get alongside once again and take that second place. Dave Coyne's not giving up just yet, and he's coming back at him. So the two Mustangs going side by side. Is it going to be door handle to door handle? Not quite, but it looks as though Craig Davis could have the advantage. Coyne did go too wide into Stowe Corner a few laps ago, where he lost a bit of time. Is he going to go quite as wide this time? No, he holds it in a bit tighter. They're still side by side. I think Craig, I don't know. Hard to say, no one's got the advantage. It's still side by side all the way through, and indeed Coyne is just ahead, and into the pits comes Craig Davis. So he's decided to make his pit stop. It is him who will come back out again, as it is Dave Coyne. He will be staying in his car, but he managed to just hold on to the position. Sam is in the pits now, so this actually means that Dave Coyne sort of takes the lead for now, but of course he will have to make his pit stop shortly.
Yes, the order will get very mixed up for a few laps now until everybody's done their pit stops, and then it's settled back down again. But we should see Sam Tordoff perhaps take the lead back, but that's not always been the case over this race day. We've had changes of position with the pit stops, and up into the pits has come Julian Thomas. So we've got Callum Lockie going out in Julian Thomas's Falcon very shortly.
There's a little work going on here. Now, which car is that? Is that the 600? It is. Yes. So that was the car that was leading. Sam Tordoff car. Now, is this... They're still on the standard stop, I think, so they may just be checking something. They're still looking... What they're doing in there is looking at the timing clock. So he's still in a position, I think, to be the leader.
Well, Sam's still got his racing head on because he's had his drink and he's just passed the bottle back to his team members. So, yeah, you're right, they are working on the bonnet. You wouldn't normally expect them to open the bonnet at a mandatory stop, but if they've got time, they might as well check something that Sam may have reported as potentially a problem. See him just getting himself ready in the cockpit there. It's interesting to watch drivers, isn't it, as they get ready to go back out on the track. And
just lovely seeing inside the car with that big long gear lever, typical of these big American cars. It's not a little short tiny gear change, it's a big long lever. You've got a lot of throw in it to change from one ratio to another. Dave Coyne is leading this race because he's not pitted yet, and also we've got Adrian Wilmot right with him actually. This is a genuine battle between the Ford Mustang and the Studebaker, and in fact the Studebaker's going really well as the track dries up. Looks like a handful, that car, but if it's driven well, it's got good performance. Coyne is going to struggle to fend it off, I think, as they head on down. Adrian Wilmot's been driving beautifully. He's going to hand over to Mark Farmer fairly soon, but this is right now the battle for the lead because neither of them have made a pit stop as yet, but we do expect the advantage to go back to Sam Tordoff when he comes out, as long as there isn't a key problem that they were looking at under the bonnet. Richard Dutton is back out on track, by the way. Oh, there's a chance here to move ahead of Coyne. Yeah, I think he's done it. I think Coyne might be coming in. Let's have a look. Yeah, Coyne is coming into the pits. Wilmot decides to stay out for a little longer.
Yeah, Wilmot carrying on Mark Farmer to take over that car. That's a lot of metal being pushed around the track there, isn't it, by that big V8 engine. But here's Craig Davis in the red and gold Mustang, and he was in the lead group early on, but obviously after the pit stops, and Craig Davis has done his stop. He's on his out lap now, so he's dropped down a few places. Sam Tordoff still in the pits. This is much longer.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a problem, isn't it? Because the clock has been taken away. He should have been out ages before this. Oh, Sam, I feel so sorry for you. Very experienced driver. Of course, he's dealt with ups and downs throughout his career, but he was going so well.
He was. Very exciting driver as well, drifting the car, but clearly some problem with that as we look at Craig Davis once again. Is that? No, it's not Craig Davis. That's the 35 Mark Burton Graham Pattle Mustang. So it's 3 Mustangs in very similar colours on the track at the moment as one of the minis comes into the pit lane. That's a good shot of the activity in the pit lane there, with the number 99 car in the pits, which is the Andy Prio car, handing over to Alex Taylor. Andy Prio getting out of the car. Oh, I'm afraid Sam Tordoff still in the pit lane.
Bitterly disappointing, I have to say. We're going to have to see how this all works out after the pit stops are complete and everybody has run around. The Dave Coyne car is heading back out now, so that's still going to have a good chance, because with the problems that we are seeing for Sam Tordoff, Dave Coyne is still going to be a factor in this race, I believe. Right now, we'll wait to see how it all starts to settle down. But Craig Davis too is definitely going to be a factor in his Ford Mustang, car number 9. And in fact, look, they are pretty much together again, aren't they, on track? So this is good to see. It's the Dave Coyne and Craig Davis battle rejoined, as we've been watching throughout much of this event.
Through the left-hander at Aintree, down onto the Wellington Straight. And at the moment, we've got a couple of cars not yet done their pit stops, but that damage on the front of Dave Coyne's car from the incident with Julian Thomas. Julian's been in now and handed over to Callum Lockie, but as you say, battle rejoined, isn't it? Is that Richard Dutton behind them, actually? It's certainly one of the many white Lotus Cortinas. So Richard normally runs with a red flash down the side, so I think that's probably him in behind there as they go out through Woodcote Corner, and Craig Davis very wide out of Woodcote up towards Copse, another Mustang in front of them, and it's the Dave Coyne car still ahead as a new fastest lap of the race, and Steve Soper has only been in that car for 1 flying lap, so his very first flying lap, it's the fastest lap of the race. That just shows the measure of Steve Soper's driving.
Adrian Wilmot has brought that car into the pits now, so Mark Farmer will be taking over in the Studebaker, the car that was right up front, making a later pit stop than the others. So this is going to be very interesting when it comes back out to see exactly where it comes out in relation to Dave Coyne in particular, and to see just what goes on here. So Coyne and Davis are still battling away. Richard Dutton, as you say, is not far away, I believe, in that group battle as well. And
yes, I think that's Richard's Cortina behind that we can see. And a mistake from Craig. Oh, almost lost it. Yeah, almost lost it.
Dave Coyne gets a bit of an advantage out of that, but this car is still going to be a factor when it gets going after the pit stop. So we'll see where it comes out. Lights are still on. Here come the group just fighting their way round Club Corner at the moment. Let's wait to see. Yeah, and being released right now is Mark Farmer. As he comes out of the pits, the others are going, they're almost parallel to him, heading into Abbey Corner. So this really is the battle for the lead, and you will see the Studebaker coming out. It's going to come out just behind them. Look to the left, there it is, rejoining with this lead group battle. He's going to come out with just behind Richard Dutton.
Absolutely brilliant, yes, couldn't have timed that better, could we? As they come into Village now, it's Dave Coyne leading from Craig Davis in second place, then it's Richard Dutton just behind, and then the rejoining new driver, Mark Farmer, in the big Studebaker Lark Daytona as they come out through Aintree. and that's in 4th place.
Always tough when you're the driver who's taken over from another. I mean, for Dave Coyne, for Craig Davis, they've been driving all race. For Richard Dutton, they know how the track is feeling, they know how the car is feeling. For Mark Farmer, who's just taken over from Adrian Wilmot, he's got to get himself into the rhythm quite quickly now in this number 132 car.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't know the braking points, he doesn't know how much grip there is in the corners, but no doubt Adrian Wilmot will have given him a few pointers, but already he's just losing time there because he just got a bit too sideways in Luffield, and he's been caught, and that's the number 170 Marcus Jewell, Ben Klukas.
Yeah, with Ben in the car, I think, now.
Yeah, Ben Klukas has taken over, quick driver, and that car is just behind, so that's a battle for position as well with the Studebaker.
And also, we need to just be a little bit aware of Callum Lockie, who has taken over from Julian Thomas in the car that was spun earlier. It is still a little further back. Haven't quite seen it in the shot yet, but it is running, I believe, in 6th place. Or no, a bit further down, sorry. But it could still become a factor as we go through. This is a great view. You can just see it in the background.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, you can see it. As we've got a car pulled off there, that's the Mini of Hans Beckert. Sadly had to retire the car.
So this is the lead group with a whole bunch of cars. We've got the 2 Mustangs. It's Craig Davis in front of Dave Coyne at the moment. Then the Lotus Cortina of Richard Dutton. Ben Klukas up into 4th. Oh, whoa, 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 that goes wrong for Dave Coyne. Even wider this time into Stoke Corner than we saw earlier on. And is he going to be passed by Dutton? Not quite. Richard Dutton could almost take advantage, but it's given Craig Davis a bit more of an advantage for now. He's got himself a bit of clear running for a change.
But
he's now, look at him!
Way too fast into you could see the front wheels losing traction there and understeering away. Ben Klukas coming up on the wings, isn't he?
Flying.
He's absolutely flying, yeah, and Richard Dutton in there as well. And I wonder whether this is just the big heavy cars, the brakes are just starting to cry enough, and the much lighter Lotus Cortinas of Dutton and Klukas are able to still brake very late for the corners. Superb handling from these cars as well.
Yeah, very consistent, aren't they, all the way through. Oh, we've got another Lotus Cortina that's pulled off. I'm not sure which one that is. So we shall have a look and see in just a second. That's a bit of a shame. Let's have a look. We might get a replay of what happened here down at Brooklands. Oh, and the car just suddenly has a problem. So he's pulled over, and that is a great shame. That's the 777 of Ollie Streak. So that was a bit further down the order. Craig Davis is still our race leader in the Mustang, from Dave Coyne in 2nd place. Richard Dutton in the Lotus Cortina in 3rd, chased by Ben Klukas in another Lotus Cortina. But look at the background, that's Callum Lockie. Callum, who's delivered some great performances in various different cars here today. That car got spun by Julian Thomas earlier on, remember, when there was contact with Dave Coyne, but they're not out of it completely, because Callum is not far behind this lead group. Whether he's got the pace in it, we'll have a look at the lap times over the next couple of laps and just see whether he's able to close up. His first sector is about the same. He's not actually any quicker. They are all doing about the same first sector times. 48 seconds seems to be the mark at the moment.
And we noticed that Mark Farmer is dropping down the order in the big Studebaker, I'm afraid. It was one that we were certainly thinking might be in this lead group, but he's dropped away. So some problems for Mark Farmer.
Oh, wide goes Dave Coyne and wide goes Richard Dutton. And that's going to give Ben Klukas a bit of an opportunity, although he'll be a bit frustrated because they've all just rejoined in front of him still. So Klukas in number 170 there, he's going to have to push a bit on. Meanwhile, Steve Soper's just set another new fastest lap again in 10th position at the moment, and a fraction behind Endaf. Oh, and off has gone Mark Farmer in the Studebaker that was running so well in the hands of Adrian Wilmot. I think Mark is struggling a little bit more to get to grips with it in these rather tricky conditions. Just under 12 minutes to go in the Transatlantic Trophy for pre-66 touring cars. Our race leader is Craig Davis. Oh, we've got a safety car because of cars off. What a shame, because we've got a couple of, at least one car in a dangerous position. So it's going to regroup everybody. Mind you, the leaders are all pretty close together already.
I was about to say that Steve Soper is setting times 3 seconds a lap quicker than the leaders, and was going to say that he may well catch them.
He will now.
He will now with a safety car, absolutely. It'll bring Steve Soper right back.
Oh,
and
dear.
There's one of the cars that we've lost.
That's the car of Billy and Carl Nairn, their little Mini that's gone off into the gravel, and yes, I can understand why we're under safety car. Soper has moved up to 7th with those quick laps that you were talking about. As you say, could well be a factor in the closing stages with such rapid lap times that Steve is delivering. Wonderful to see him back out, isn't it? Steve Soper, one of the all-time super touring car drivers.
Absolutely, yes. He took a big break from racing after a nasty accident which damaged a bone in his neck, but he then had some repairs done and was actually told he could race again. And so since then we've seen him out racing regularly. It's always great to see Soper man out on track.
Mark Farmer will be waved past the safety car. There he is. He's just been waved past now because it's the leader they want to have behind the safety car, and that is Craig Davis in car number 9. Now I think that he will stay there now. Dave Coyne following with Richard Duck, Ben Lucas, and then it's going to be Callum Lockie. Meanwhile, yeah, we're just looking at Soper there, so it's the second of these cars in this line there, the red Mustang. That is the Steve Soper car.
And just ahead is the Banks Brothers Alpha, which is ahead in the order from Steve Soper. So Soper's got to pass him, but they will all close up. So the interesting thing is there are no slower cars mixed in with the leading group. So when we come to the restart, we won't have anybody held back.
Let's hope they can move the Mini pretty quickly out of the way so that the safety car's not out there for too long, and we are on for another thrilling finale here, I believe, with some top drivers in some cars. Some of them are working better than others. I wonder if doing a bit behind the safety cars is going to look after the brakes in these big heavy cars, allow them to cool them down a touch, because it did look as though they were beginning to overheat.
And another car which is worth watching as well is the car that was started by Andy Prio, who brought it through into this top 10 group, handed over to Alex Taylor. But looking at Alex Taylor's lap times prior to the safety car, he was quicker than anybody except Steve Soper, and he's in the yellow Mustang with the black stripes immediately behind Soper. So he's going to be a factor as well. And then we've got the Minis. Yeah,
there's lots to look forward to, but it is great to see Steve Soper in this group and potentially with a chance of challenging to get a podium finish out of all this. We've seen Craig Davis and Dave Coyne battling hard throughout the race. Richard Dutton doing well in the Lotus Cortina. Ben Lucas has been pushing on really well. Callum Lockie in the big black machine. But now Steve Soper is going to be a part of that, and he has been setting the outright pace. The little Alpha is in there, the Banks' car, number 89, lovely to see that in the mix as well. And then, as you say, the Prio Taylor car, and then a couple of Minis are still up there in the top 10 with Aaron Smith and Duff Owens, and of course they'll all be closed up as the safety car leads them around. Doesn't look like it's going to be coming in this lap, so it's going to be at least around 3 minutes, I would think, to do another lap at this sort of pace. So we might be in for a fairly short last section to this race, but Steve Soper could be a key player, and that is the car he is in right now. Further down, Neil Brown is still in the 11th place, and 14th position, the number 81 car, which I think Nigel Greenstall has taken over. Poor old Nigel, he was involved in a little incident in the first car he was driving earlier on. That was the David Gooding car, 179. In the meantime, though, hopefully he rushed back to the pits so that he was able to take over the other car. He was due to drive 2 cars, and he's now in 14th position. The cars will all be gathering up together behind the safety car. Haven't seen a shot yet of whether they've managed to move that Mini out of the way that was in the gravel trap. That was the cause of this current safety car period. And hopefully we will see that. We think it has been cleared, so we could well see the lights going out on the safety car fairly soon, although they've got a bit more of a lap to do before we see that. But it will be fun if we can go back to racing when they next come across the line. So we've got just under 7 minutes remaining, and a real fight to the flag between the likes of Craig Davis, Dave Coyne, Richard Dutton, Ben Lucas, Callum Lockie, Banks's. It was Andrew who was driving earlier. It's Max who's in the car now. Steve Soper. then also the number 99 car, Alex Taylor, now at the wheel of that Ford Mustang, but it's been going well.
It has, and I think any of those cars that you've mentioned just there could be a winner of this race. It's going to be so tight, assuming we get an opportunity to go back racing again. The safety car just going through Woodcote, so we've got just under half a lap back to the main Hamilton Straight start line, so that should be the point at which we get racing again. Safety car in this lap, Ben. It's just come up on the screen, so that's good news. So when they get back round to Club Corner, we'll be racing again.
Yeah, I think we could be in for an entertaining last few laps here. There's only going to be a couple of laps, of course. The lap times they've been doing 2.5 minutes basically, and as you can see, it's going to be well under 5 minutes by the time they get back. So we're not going to get a lot of laps, but we are, I think, going to get quite a lot of action in the meantime. The Minis are still fighting their own battles in that group, still inside the top 10 for a few of them, and opportunities will exist. So you've got to pick up the places wherever possible. How much risk do you take? Well, that's the decision. That's always part and parcel of being a racing driver, and particularly when you're racing the classics, you want to keep your car in one piece, but you also want to do the best you can. You'll see the lights, the flashing lights on the top of that safety car going out any moment, and then it will start to accelerate away from the grid leader, Craig Davis, to be able to give Craig his opportunity to control the pace of the field. It's now down to Craig to decide how fast he goes, whether he bunches everybody up. Actually, he's keeping a bit of pace going here, following the safety car. He seems to be quite happy to just keep the pace running reasonably fast. Dave Coyne needs to catch up, otherwise they're all going to be a bit behind, because Craig Davis has really gone for it right from the outset, and Dave's got a bit left behind. That wasn't a very good restart by Dave. Craig Davis just went for it as soon as the safety car started to move off. Richard Dutton, now is he allowed to overtake before they cross the line? I don't think he is, but he was almost along. He's gone in front. I don't know whether that's going to work. Well, we'll have to wait and see whether he gets penalised for that, because he crossed before and he's dropped back behind again. Maybe they will allow that now because he dropped back behind, but it's all very close. But it's a fight for second rather than a fight for the lead, because Craig Davis made perfect work of the restart, and Dave Coyne, surprisingly, got a bit left behind. And in fact, it's allowed Richard Dutton there now into second base, Ben Klukas up into third position, and a big change around.
It was indeed, yes, the two Cortinas, and then it's the Dave Coyne car, and it looked like Callum Lockie was going for the outside of Dave Coyne at Village, but he went a little bit deep and dropped back behind again. That's the big black Falcon, and as they come down the Wellington Straight, it's, as you say, Craig Davis has made the jump, but the power of the Mustang pulls it through, and Steve Soper is at the back there in the red and gold car.
Look at all those guys going side by side. That is Steve Soper in car number 6. He is right on the back of this little group, which is, this particular group is being led by Richard Dutton. Callum Lockie in the black machine, now under pressure from Steve Soper. Soper trying to go around the outside on the extra left field as Lockie gets sideways, and Soper has to cut back in. Both of them hounding Dave Coyne as they come through Woodcote and down towards Copse Corner. No battling up front because Craig Davis has got a clear lead. Ben Klukas now attacking Richard Dutton on the inside. Little lock up from somebody there. It's tight through Copse Corner. Oh, Soper gets a bit sideways as he cuts to the inside, trying to find an advantage to get past Callum Lockie. It's almost 3 abreast into Maggots and then into Beckett's. And for now, Richard Dutton has got back ahead of Ben Klukas in the fight for second. This is wonderful stuff.
And Steve Soper went all the way around the outside of Dave Coyne there at the first element of Beckett's, and now he's on the tail of Callum Lockie as they go out through Chapel Curve onto the Hangar Straight. Those two big V8 cars, the red and gold car of Steve Soper and the black car of Callum Lockie, will have more power, and they're squeezing.
Oh no! Oh, Callum Lockie gets a bit of a hit. It's the second time we've seen that car spin, and damage done to the side. Oh, what a shame. And there's damage to Dave Coyne's car as well. I didn't quite see how that all came about. It all got very bunched up. Oh, look at the mess on the front of Dave Coyne's car. Steve Soper has gained as a result of that into 4th place. Ben Klukas is running second. Craig Davis is still the race leader. There's your leader, Craig Davis. 2nd place now, Ben Klukas. 3rd, Richard Dutton. Steve Soper 4th. Oh, and Callum's ended up in the gravel. Oh, look at the damage to 2 ends and on the front of Dave Coyne's car. That's so sad to see. with these wonderful machines being damaged when they were all racing so well and so hard for so many laps. We are into the closing stages. Dave's still going. Be a little bit concerned that he might get that car overheating because there might have been some radiator damage done.
Yeah, the only thing that's certain is that wasn't Callum Lockie's fault. He was squeezed and was tipped into a spin, it looked to me. But Steve Soper now is putting the pressure on the Richard Dutton Cortina. Ben Klukas got past Richard Dutton on that lap, so it's now Craig Davis, Ben Klukas, Richard Dutton, and not Richard Dutton, it's Steve Soper now. The power of the Mustang comes through. Now Steve Soper is focusing on Ben Klukas ahead as they go through the left-hander at Brooklands up to Luffield. Lots and lots of understeer there from the red and gold Mustang. Steve Soper really hanging on to that car as they come out onto the old pit straight once again.
Just a quick note, Neil Brown's moved up quite well. He's up into 8th place, but we've still got a Mini in 7th. That's Aaron Smith. They're running a bit further back, of course, but still showing some good performance. So Steve Soper on for a podium finish here. The car was quite a long way down the field earlier on, but it is doing well now, and in the battle trying to steal 2nd place from Ben Klukas. But I tell you what, Ben Klukas is driving beautifully in that Lotus Cortina. He's very neat, very tidy. He got past Richard Dutton. Look at the drift through Beckett's, and that Lotus Cortina works beautifully well. The clock is ticking away. We are definitely on the final lap of the race here, and the pre-66 touring cars have shown us some good combat. So unfortunately it hasn't all gone clean, but for Craig Davis it is looking very promising. But here comes Steve Soper. He could still take 2nd place. He's got the power on Hanger Straight. Defensive work from Ben Klukas. Can he hold off? There's a yellow flag still down there, of course, so he can't actually overtake, and that was a key area to try. So I'm not sure. They will get a green as they come out of this section, and a last chance down into the last couple of corners. Craig Davis is going to take victory here in this race, and I think it's going to be Ben Klukas who will hold on for 2nd. Craig loves going a bit wide, and look how close Klukas is as they come through the last corner. I don't think he's going to quite get there across the line. Very sideways from Davis. He takes the victory. Klukas finishes in 2nd, and Steve Soper finishes in 3rd place. Richard Dutton just misses out on a podium after a wonderful drive in his Lotus Cortina.
Craig, what a race. So you had your hands full, but it looked like your brilliant restart just for those last 2 laps was what made the difference.
Yeah, really. It was just what a great Masters event, you know, as what you have there. But I had a great race with Dave Coyne, and then Julian. His car looks pretty sad, which is a shame, but it was very, very, very slippery. Stowe and Abbey in particular was just dancing on ice through there. It was amazing, but good clean racing and really enjoyed it.
Well done, well driven.
Thanks, Ed.
Going to come Steve Soper, Henry Mann, from a broken throttle cable yesterday, starting 21st in the grid. This is a pretty good outcome, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, a win would have been better, but it wasn't to be. I think the safety car helped me in my stint, and then the yellow flags at the end handicapped us. But it's good, we're on the podium.
Fantastic drive, well done. Alex, Andy, Craig was talking about it a bit there earlier. Very difficult conditions.
It was tricky. I mean, handed over to Alex, and the track was drying slightly, but it was really good fun. Great to be racing out there, and a fantastic event. Some really good driving standards. This guy did a great job as well, so had a great time.
And we're really pleased. We found this young guy from Guernsey. He's a hill climb lad. I think he's going to go a long way.
We're going to go somewhere in historic racing, hopefully.
There's life in the old dog yet. Well done.
Good job.